All right. Hey, how's everyone doing? Good morning. This is Hola Pablo. Let's look at Zcash. Zcash. All right. So I have these two charts here. The top one's a macro, and the bottom one's a micro. These are fractal ranges. The top is a daily, and the bottom is a 30-minute. That means every one of these candles here equals what, 48 of these candles. Yeah, 48 because it's a 30-minute. So all of this here, this range up here where you see this expanding, broadening, this broadening wedge, this bear wedge that came out of this downtrend, all of this here is this whole range on the micro is just this area right here on the macro. I'll show you. Let me get a pen. This here, where it would be this two wave, this two correction coming up from this Elliott impulse going down. Okay, so all of that, this is within this two wave here, and you could see that it's identical. The price action is identical. That's because these are fractal ranges. Price action can be if you magnify basically any area on a chart, you'll find the patterns repeating in the smaller fractals. So that's what this is. You can see we came out of a downtrend, and then we begin to consolidate laterally. We have a macro selling climax. This would be the macro selling climax on the micro, and this is the macro. Automatic rally on the macro, automatic rally on the micro, and then we have a deep secondary test, which we see here, which mitigates. This one on the micro, it even went down even further. And then from there, we can draw the governance of the trading range. So we have support and resistance bars going through. And then as we see the price action, the spread begins to widen, creating higher highs and lower lows, creating a broadening or a widening effect on the wedge. And so the paths are pretty much congruent with each other, culminating in this area here that we see, like on the macro that we had. This was that pump that ended up around this. It mitigated this liquidity void between $45 and $50. You remember on my video, the last one I did, or the one before last, when this was in mid pump here, I said 45 to 50 is a good area to get out because it's seeking to mitigate these upper liquidity voids, because the market makers want to bring the price, because above this there's no value. There's still no value. There's a lot of uncertainty, especially with Bitcoin and the markets in general coming, like leading up to this election. So in the United States, so there's really no value above that, or they're not willing to take the chance. So what they're doing is, within this broadening wedge, as the waves are expanding, they're basically generating liquidity. So anytime you see like expanding price action here, like this, you see it getting wider and wider and wider, and then coming back down again. That is not accumulation. Now, you can ride these waves on the inside. You can impulse wave or day trade them or whatever if you wanted to swing or momentum trade Zcash. There's certainly money to be made riding these impulse waves. But long term, the goal is to generate liquidity up at the trend resistance or trading range resistance. In this point, it was trend resistance. Raid this liquidity void here, and then bring the price back down again to, in this case, macro trend support. And so we see the same thing happening, manifesting in the micro as it manifested in the macro. And these basically just confirm the price action. What happens in the micro eventually happens in the macro, and vice versa. So if this is retracing this, we see now we came out of this ABC inversion here, this correction, And now we have what looks like an Elliott wave going down with the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. And so I'm contending that we're at the 2 now here at the 0.5 Fibonacci, which is this trading range midpoint. And we see the same thing here with the A and the B. The B would be the B would coincide with the 2 wave on the macro, the B, which would be the B correction on the micro. And so if it's a B wave, it means that there's a C wave in the making going down even further, most likely to retest the range support on the micro, which would be roughly $28.45. So that would, and so the macro trend support line would be $23.61 or thereabouts. And so if this is a 2 wave, if this B turns out to be this 2 wave, then we can anticipate the long 3 impulse, which would be like pretty much the C wave here on the correction, bringing it back down, back into the area of the micro trend support. And so the micro trend support would be somewhere around the macro trend, not the macro trend, but the macro range, trading range support line, which is different, which is above the macro trend support. I know this is kind of confusing, the micros and the macros and all this, but once you get the hang of it, it's really not that. It's more of a challenge to remember which one it is when I'm actually trying to verbalize it. So just bear with me if I get these jumbled up. That's why I have these on the charts, so you can hopefully look at it as I try to verbalize it. If I get it wrong, I apologize. And so here we also see the mitigation also on the micro trend. So all this means is that we have a double confirmation in the fractal range analysis that Zcash is most likely going back down in its broadening wedge. So what does that mean? Well, that's good news. If you're like me and you like to dollar cost average Zcash, it means that there's going to be more buying opportunities. You just got to be patient. Look at these areas as potential areas to accumulate. You got the trading range midpoint where we currently are around $29, $29.87, and then if these Elliott waves play out, which I think they are according to the volume metrics, we'll look at the volume in a minute, then our next point of like buying in could be like around the $23 range. If you didn't want to juice it all the way down to 23 and wait that long, then let the micro play out, and then like a buy-in could be another good buy-in could be $28.39. So yeah, about $1.50 down. You could get it $1.50 cheaper per Zcash. And then when it gets to that area, we'll wait and see how it's playing out with the volume metrics. Now on the micro volume, if we look at the volume spread analysis, we're seeing very large demands. We're seeing this is an above average volume demand spike in the vertical bar here. See that? Look at this. This would be above average, wouldn't you say? It occurred back on the 11th. Well, today is the 11th, so this is the 30-minute. Remember, and with this above average, we see that we really haven't. I mean, this is large. We haven't had a volume spike this large. It's been about 4 days, and that helped propel this Elliott wave here up to the 2, and then we had the correction, the 3, the 4, and the 5. So this volume spike here would necessitate the B wave on the micro, but I don't see this. Despite all this volume, I see a failure to rally past the micro resistance, or TRR on the micro. And so if we get rejected here, that means we're going down to a C to continue this wave down. So when you see a lot of volume but little price action, like in this case demand, you see really large demand spikes but not a lot of upward momentum. It's a sign of weakness. It's ultimately a sign of weakness. It means that there's no value. There's a lot of bidding going forth. Think of like a car trying to get up a hill, revving the engine, revving the engine, but there's ice and it can't get any traction. So despite all these RPMs and noise and sound and everything and energy being expended, the car's not going up because gravity, it's reached a point where there's just basically there's no value in the car going up. So what happens? Eventually the revving stops and then it slides down, and that's in effect what happens in these corrective waves. You see a lot of volume, and then people who don't understand volume metrics or principles of absorption or accumulation are tempted to jump in at this point. And then what happens is effectively they buy the top of the B, and then the floor falls out, and they hang themselves on the C, going down, and they're underwater. So, and the same thing with the 2-wave on the macro. See, we're getting stopped out here. It looks like, and then yeah, we don't even have a lot of volume coming in at all on the macro in this 2-wave. So usually 2 waves on the macro don't have a lot of volume. This could be areas here where this is an area usually where they're setting up their shorts. Market makers set up their shorts, create another shoulder for this head and shoulder, and then prepare for the for the retracement. They'll set their stop losses a little high to trigger all these stops. Maybe do a liquidity raid up above TRM, and then drop the price down, go down for the 3, and you know the 3 is the deep one, three is the long one. But before they go into the 3, they have the 2, the reverse 2, and they do a liquidity sweep, and then they go down. So it looks like that's probably what this is here, but we don't see a lot of demand on the daily, just the price action going up. So we may see some demand, and it may bring it back up to trading range resistance on the macro, but then I think the bottom's going to fall out, and that's going to be a proper head and shoulders at that point. We'll see this other shoulder side come up like this, and then the 3. So just be patient, and I believe you're going to find better buying opportunities for Zcash if you miss this pump. Don't worry about it. I think we're going to be able to buy down here, and then this will set the stage for either depending on what Bitcoin does, a further. Usually these bearish expanding wedges usually break more to the downside, so they're continuation patterns. And like I said, these expanding wedges with the price action expanding is not good. Usually if they're going to pump it, you see consolidation, you see a tightening of the waves because more and more supply is getting absorbed. Here you're seeing supply, you're seeing the value drop of supply. They're not willing to take it past the macro trend resistance line, and then the volume, not the volume, but the value drops, and that causes these steep sell-offs here. So they're generating liquidity. They're buying low, and then they're selling high, and then they're buying even lower, selling even higher, and then at some point it's just going to fall out, and then they're going to go down. They're going to break this trend and go down deeper, and then that could be the terminal shakeout. Whenever that happens, in preparation for a whole new trading range, a whole new selling climax, and then we could start a whole new Wyckoff range and a whole new Elliott wave count beginning in that range. So I hope this helped. I really need more coffee. My thoughts are so disjointed. I don't edit these videos. I'm sure you can tell by now. I just believe in telling it as it is. It's how I do it. I do these for me. I'm an investor in Zcash, and so I do this for me, and if you can benefit out of this sort of technical analysis, I think that's great. Go ahead and give this video a like if you got anything out of it. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. That's a smart thing to do. It's what smart money would do, because I'm all about smart money, trying to mirror what smart money does. That's what we do as Wyckofians and Elliottians. We try to mimic the footsteps of smart money and think like smart money. So we try to buy when smart money buys, and then we dump when smart money dumps. So you can't beat them, so you join them, right? You can't beat smart money. They got deeper pockets than you or me. So we basically do what they do. We swim with the sharks, and we follow the shark's path. So, and hopefully my videos teach you how to do that. Yeah, I look forward to any comments. Let me know where you're from. If you're an investor in Zcash, I'd love to hear from you. I like to hear from my viewers. And have a great day. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Make sure you subscribe. And more videos will be coming. We're going to be doing Solana. We're going to be doing Polygon, Shiba Inu, AVAX, Algorand, and Filecoin. I need to do Filecoin. Filecoin. I've got some news about Filecoin I think that y'all will be interested in. So subscribe so you don't miss it. All right, guys. I'm going to go now. Adios. Have a good day. God bless. Bye-bye.